Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on Time Sports Talk. I am the remix. The original is back. We are back after I think it's 2 weeks since you went on vacation, and lots happened. Lots happened. We got
Yeah.
NHL playoffs to talk about. We got NBA playoffs to talk about. We got Caitlin Clark. We got Larry Allen. We got NFL talk. It's a jam packed show today. So I do want to start with Larry Allen. Rest in peace. Gone way too young. I think he was 52 years old. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but in my lifetime, he's the greatest offensive lineman I've ever seen.
I would agree with that. He was the one that chased down I don't know who the New Orleans Saint was that intercepted Troy Aikman, but he chased him down. Uh, that big man could move. Um, he was a gentle giant unless you were facing him on the football field.
Right.
But I remember listening to a lot of stories. I know Emmett was pretty tore up today. Um, but the story about Larry Allen driving his new sports car to the facility and gets out of it and it's full of trash and stuff, and Emmett's telling him, "You can't drive that car, man, and trash it out." But he was just, just a to me one of those guys. He's a big old dude, but just was off the field. He was just one of those gentle giant types. And but on the field, he could move mountains, and he was, everybody likes to talk about the triplets, but they seem to forget why the triplets existed. And a lot of it had to do with that offensive line, and definitely the person who led that was Larry Allen. He was just an amazing player. He's in the Ring of Honor as he should be, Hall of Famer. I mean, he just one of those guys. And unfortunately, like I said, gone way too soon. Died at 52, which is just sad to me, because they lost a great one today, for sure.
Yeah, the whole sports world did, not just the Cowboys. I
Yes.
remember being amazed as I was kind of becoming fully aware of the sports world in the mid '90s when the Cowboys were on their run, and I remember being amazed of watching that man bench press 700 pounds, and just the feats you mentioned, running down the Saints linebacker, and you know he pound for pound, he's probably up there with some of the best athletes in the game. The fact that he was doing that, he may have been listed at 330 or whatever it was. He was bigger than that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but so prayers, thoughts to condolences to the Allen family and the extended family of Larry, and we'll be praying for you, and in this
Yes.
difficult time. And number 73, one of the greatest. He is on the GOAT list for offensive lineman in my book. So,
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely.
all right. Well, let's go ahead and knock out, since we started with Larry Allen in the NFL. Let's go ahead and knock out our NFL segment here at the beginning. All right.
Yeah. So, um, someone yelling at somebody in the background here. But yeah, it's with my goodness,
Money, money,
140 million,
money.
$140 million for JJ. And if things couldn't be tougher for the Cowboys signing people,
We going to
that just
Sizzler. We going to Sizzler. Or, well, Justin
yeah.
Jefferson going to Sizzler. I'm not.
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking that might be an Applebee's. But Yeah, so 110 guaranteed, 140 million. So
Hey,
the question really becomes, is he worth it? Is he really worth that kind of money?
well, the Minnesota Vikings think he's worth that type of money, and you know how it translates to our show, and you know, kind of the teams we focus on. What does that mean for Jerry and CD Lamb? You know, because CD is holding out right now. He's not showing up to anything. Micah is holding out, not showing up to anything too. But CD Lamb, I mean, he's got better numbers than Justin Jefferson, especially last year. Uh, I mean, once again, Jerry Jones has been holding out. And like everyone thought the Nico Collins deal last week was, oh my God, they paid Nico Collins this much down in Houston. Well, that's a bargain compared to what Minnesota just paid and what the Cowboys are going to have to give up to sign CD. You're about to see the destruction of the Cowboys because of the outrageous salaries in the league.
Well, how many times have we seen this in the Cowboys' history, right? AKA Demarcus Ware, who's, you know, uh, to me was a great defensive lineman, defensive end, and he probably wouldn't have won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys just because they, unfortunately they do this a lot. Um, it's those big players that should be signed. Um, one of the it would be one of the worst days in Cowboy fan history if they don't pay Micah. And lo and behold, we also have a quarterback that's on the clock too. So it's if I'm all in, why ain't I paying some money?
I
Here's
knew
my thing though. They paid Justin. What's his name again? Jefferson. Justin Jefferson. So JJ like me. JJ like me. So the way I look at it is they paid him a lot of money, but he don't play for the Cowboys, so he not gonna help us. What? Oh yeah, CD. I love CD. CD is amazing. Dak is amazing. Micah is amazing. But so we are all what? Playing what? Steven's telling me we ain't what? Boy, don't tell me to shut up. Oh,
listen,
so
all I'm going to
to get
say is
out of the Jerry, but
this is what I'm going to say is once again, like I said a couple episodes ago, Jerry and Steven and that entire staff has waited way too long again to sign another their star players. They should have if they're convinced all we've ever heard about Dak is that Dak is their guy. I don't disagree with that. They should have restructured his contract so they could have either not necessarily maybe signed anyone in free agency because obviously they didn't do that, but they did it to say the excuse they didn't have this cap space. Well, if they restructured Dak, they have the cap space, but then they don't sign anyone, they still take criticism, right? Well, if they would have restructured Dak and re-up CD and Micah already, then you could say, okay, they spent money and they kept their own guys. But man, Dallas is just, I don't understand how they're operating. They do this time and time again of waiting too long. They know they do like re signing their own guys, they have a history of that, but they have a history of waiting too damn long and it costs them way more money. If they would have signed Dak when they first could have, Dak would count 35 a million or 40 million against the cap right now instead of almost 60. Like it's just stupidity at some point. And like I I, I can't defend the Cowboys front office. Like and they've done a great job drafting the last 10 years overall. But when it comes to free agency and signing good contracts and trying to convince these guys to take team friendly things, it's not happening. And
uh,
it
it
sucks.
it's it's not, and to it's like you said, the problem is that they 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 think by being patient that that's going to help them somehow. But I mean, how many years do you have to go through saying, "Well, we're just going to, you know, wait and see," and then come out and say, "We're all in," and then you ain't all in. You're all into not doing anything. So, yeah, I just, unfortunately, in my mind, just to be objective, even though it's Cowboys, one of those three are going to leave, either Dak, Micah, or CD, and it might actually be two of them. And I think they're also under this philosophy of, well, let's let them play this last year out and see how they do, and we'll pay them if they do good. They're doing that with the coach, and they're doing that with the quarterback. But I think the thing about the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, he takes, and it doesn't matter who it is, it's just under scrutiny constantly. And Dak may be getting a little tired of that. I know Dak says the right things. He's a team player. He doesn't play for money. That's what he said. But at the end of the day, when you're seeing these other players, which like Justin Jefferson, who I do not think is as good as CeeDee Lamb. He's a good receiver, um, but he's not as good as CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is stronger. I think CeeDee Lamb is runs his routes better. Um, but it's just going to come down to, I think they're not going to have enough to sign all three of them.
No, no,
And
they're not.
I'm really, you lose. Can you imagine Micah going to another team in the NFC East?
I, I think he would do it. I think he would go to Washington and
Oh
go
yeah,
play
he'd
under
follow
Dan
Dan
Quinn in a
Quinn.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like I don't foresee like I would like if Micah leaves, I would see him wanting to stick it to Dallas. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's a scary thought, and hopefully we don't have to live that out. So,
Yeah.
good luck
Yeah.
to the Dallas front office to try to save face and figure this out because it is, it's piss poor right now. It is the seven. They are not following the seven P's that we learned in the Navy. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance, and right now they are piss poor performing. So they need to get their stuff together and
Man, that's
figure
that's a
figure it
lot of peas. I don't know if I remember all them peas. I think well, I might have to go PP, but I don't know if I can remember all them peas.
Jerry, just
What,
put
Steve? Steven, stop telling me shut up. You don't tell your daddy to shut up.
uh,
All right.
tell Steven to go color with Jerry Jr. All right, we're going to transit before we get to the playoffs. One of the big topics in sports right now still is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark.
I can't say the word.
Caitlin Clark
Caitlin.
comes into the WNBA. She is, I think you expect with any young star in any sport, the older players are going to check you. They're going to test you. But what a lot of the WNBA players are doing is petty, shallow, and bush league crap. And here's the other part that I hate that I'm seeing from the Indiana Fever. I don't see her teammates sticking up for her. And Matt Barnes talked about this, like when Kennedy Carter knocked her over. Like Aaliyah Boston slowly walks over and eventually tries to help her up. But if this is the darling of the league and you're not jealous and she's your teammate, you should be running over. You should be trying to fight Kennedy Carter.
Well, to me, the stupidest thing about the whole situation and the fact that the rest of the WNBA players are doing this to her is she is the reason they're getting to fly on charter planes right now. She is the reason people are paying attention to the league. And and what they don't realize is how they are messing that up. And oh my God, Angel Reese. The fact that she comes on today, I'll look back in 20 years and be like the reason why we're watching women's basketball. It's not just because of one person, it's because of me too. I want y'all to realize that. Oh my God. Can you tell she's from LSU? Can you?
Yeah,
In that, yeah,
Angel Reese coming out with that is like it's like she's starving for the headline. Like she's being overshadowed because they got beat in the tournament this past season by Iowa, and like Caitlin Clark surpassed Angel Reese a long time ago. And when it comes to popularity, but jealousy and the pettiness, like it's like it's pretty unbelievable to see it sometimes. Like, do I think that hockey check by Kennedy Clark was absolutely egregious? No, but it's not a basketball play. It's not like she just
uh-uh.
went back and clocked her in the nose. Like, but it was cheap. And
It's bush league. It's bush league, and the fact that she yells "bitch" before she does it, and it wasn't like, of course, everybody said, "Well, you don't know what went on before that." Well, play the damn game the way it's supposed to be played. Yes, you can play physical, sure, but when that kind of crap, it just shows the animosity toward Caitlin Clark, and it shows the lack of understanding of how she's helping your league. Because there is she right. If she wasn't in the league, oh, we're gonna turn. Oh, Angel's on. Let's go. Let's buy some tickets. Let's go. People are like, if it wasn't for her spat with Caitlin, no one would even know who the hell Angel Reese is.
probably, I mean,
Nobody.
I'd say the
Or
people with
Kennedy Carter.
the people within the women's basketball community would know who Angels Reese is, but we wouldn't. And
Well,
you mentioned that's why they're flying private now most of the time. You know what's amazing is I don't know, like that's all cool and stuff, but when I read up on that, it's costing the WNBA $24 million this year to do that for the teams, right? They could have doubled every player's salary in the league for that. And so,
mhm.
like, you sit here and you want to be paid a certain amount or certain percentage, but you'd rather fly in a charter plane versus double your salary instead of taking, a Delta flight or whatever it is. It's an interesting dichotomy. We've talked about the WNBA before, and it's never been a profitable league. Caitlin Clark is their first chance to turn a profit, and these girls are jeopardizing that. But with Kennedy Carter, I just think she's a bad person. She's been kicked off two
Well,
teams
she's
for,
yeah. It's fixed to
for
say she's already been kicked off 2 teams. She's
yeah, she
been
was she
fined
was the
numerous
fourth
times.
pick, fourth pick in the
You know,
draft in 2020 by Atlanta. And that's not like a pick that's a foundational piece pick that you're planning on your franchise to build around. And within a year, they cancel their contract because of conduct detrimental to the team because she threatened to beat up her teammates.
yeah, she just and her and Angel Reese to me are, unfortunately, they're part of this, entitlement um attitude that a lot of we see a lot of players who don't really become much because they get all of this. I'll give you and now it has to be a football example, but Chad Ochocinco, he came in the league and he was great, good for a while, but he's already, the day he wore his thing, future Hall of Famer or whatever on his jacket or whatever, earn it first. This is one of the things I loved about Bill Parcells when he was with the Cowboys. He didn't put a star on your helmet till you frickin' earned it. And a lot of these kids come in to whatever sport it is now, and they come in with this, just because they put the uniform on, that they are something. It's like this whole thing about Angel Reese of saying, you're going to look back. You don't know that. And in fact, when you do that, you disrespect everybody who came before you. The WNBA started out as there wasn't anybody in the stands, and it wasn't much of a league, and most people didn't even know about it. And then the NBA started to really help them get more involved and get more on TV with the All-Star game, bringing in the WNBA players. So ain't nobody going to look back on the league if Caitlin Clark ain't there. Ain't nobody. I don't know who won the last championship in the WNBA. Do you know?
Nope.
Yeah, see? But now we probably should know that if we're talking sports, but the thing is,
Was it the
it's the
Liberty? Might have been the New
WNBA.
York Liberty.
I'm and so um to me it's just they're screwing it up when they have a chance to maybe bust through some barriers of getting more fans. If they just go out and play the game, fine, be physical, but play the game within the
Oh,
rules of the game.
it was Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Las Vegas
So
Aces beat the New York Liberty.
yeah,
Um,
I mean,
so I think in the other side of this, beyond the BS that the WNBA players are putting Caitlin Clark through, is there is such an enormous amount of pressure on Caitlin Clark to perform. Like there's games that she's scoring 9 points, in single
mhm.
digits. She's not shooting the ball well. And I actually think that rookie year for women's basketball is so difficult. And if you're looking from an objective sports part here, on their season ends in the beginning of April with the Final Four as she lost in the championship game, and then the draft is like 4 weeks later, and then they start their season. They're obviously already in their season. She has had no time since the beginning of last college season to rest, and I would not be surprised if she is not hitting a proverbial wall when it comes to the energy she has and the plays she can make, and it's hard to play under that pressure this entire time because everyone wants to see you perform at the level you did at Iowa. But she's also hasn't stopped playing basketball since October. And that's tough on your body. That's tough on your mental state, your emotional state. And then you got to deal with all the tomfoolery of what you're dealing with these jealous folks out there. Man, I feel for Caitlin Clark. And I hope she just in her play it turns around. But I hope after this rookie year is over, uh, the league will kind of settle down. But going into year two, yeah, people will be interested in Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever next year, but it's going to be less. It has diminishing returns on the product, and that's
Right.
why the NBA and WNBA try to put all her games on TV this year as they could because they know year after year after year it's going to be diminishing returns on the product, and just that's just how it is. That's just the law of economics. So, um, but I feel for Caitlin Clark, I really do.
Yeah, it's undue pressure that she already has, like you said, she already has the pressure to perform because she is the biggest, to me, the biggest star to come into the league. And like I said, I couldn't name, any of their biggest stars from the past. Just because it's the WNBA has been it's kind of like soccer to me. I don't watch soccer. It's not a big thing. But now there's interest in the WNBA, and they need to realize that, and especially players like Angel Reese. You know what? Play the game and earn your damn spot. Shut up and earn some respect. It's like you will respect me. You'll see. It's like no, go out there and earn your damn respect. Make a free throw.
Hey, it's 2024. You just as soon as you're born in the world, you're supposed to just be given respect according to these folks.
Yeah,
So
well, that's a LSU. It's Look at Me State University. So
I feel like your SEC is coming out right now. I feel like
a
that's
little bit.
all
We've seen a few LSU players do that. You know.
right. Well, all right. Let's go. I want to end with the NBA. So let's go NHL playoffs next. Um, so obviously you left. Stars were doing great. Now they're out of the playoffs. So I blame you. All right. So because you didn't
Yeah, it's my
pick
fault.
them
It's
anyway.
my fault.
You
Yeah, it's
you
my
weren't
fault.
here to do your reverse psychology on them. And
Yeah.
so anyone who's a Dallas Stars fan at Easy Eddie, please message him and blame him for the Stars' demise. Um, the
How
Oilers,
do
man.
you outshoot a team pretty much 4-1 and not win the game?
Oh, I can tell you why. It's the same point you have used many times.
Yes.
Skinner was hot. The
Yes.
goaltender for
Yeah.
Edmonton was hot,
I
and
said,
there
I
in
said,
hockey, every game is a game of inches, but hockey is, I think, the ultimate game of inches when it comes to. There's a couple pucks that hit off posts for the Stars that if it's a quarter inch to
mhm,
the left or right, it's a goal. Instead, it
yep,
bounces out, or you
yep.
had one, I forgot who, I think may have been Sagan, where he had an open net and it like bounced weird off his stick and he misses the shot. And it's just so unlucky
Mhm.
and lucky at times. Now, I'm not saying Oilers winning was lucky. They earned that series win. I
Well, I'm gonna blame it on the topless girl in the stands. If you saw the video, there's a girl in the Edmonton Oilers who lifted her shirt and showed off her assets, and that they're saying that distracted the Stars. I
well,
can almost buy that a little bit. It probably distracted the goalie if she yelled out, our goalie's name when she did it, and he looked up there, boom. But yeah.
let me Google that and get distracted real quick. So I didn't hear about that, but it's
Oh
one of
yeah,
those things
she's
that
all over X. All you
uh,
gotta
well,
do is look at X, you'll find it.
and
Um,
for us that still call it Twitter, he means Twitter. Anyways, the the Stars, they were supposed to kind of be that finished product. They were there. Everyone expected them to be there. I obviously picked them to win the Stanley Cup against the Florida Panthers in the final, and you know, I think there's just a few tweaks that they need. I think they need to find kind of another scorer, and I'm, but I know Tanev is a free agent as well, and that could be scary letting him go because he really solidified their defense. So, but kudos that Connor McDavid is an amazing
no,
player,
that's a hockey player right there.
and he's
That's a
about
hockey player.
if he wins a cup, they're going to start building a statue next to Wayne Gretzky because
Hmm.
I think it's like 20 plus years since the cup has been in Canada. So
Hmm.
um, that's pretty
And
incredible stat.
yeah, I still, like I said, I picked the Panthers to win it, unfortunately for the Stars. So my team's still there. Um, at least my pick. They're not really my team, but I just think but because when this series first started, I thought we got this because Skinner was having a tough time. I mean, Stars came out and just rattled him. And then all of a sudden he made a few stops and just you could see his confidence grow the further this game went along. And granted, like you said, it's a game of inches. Sometimes it requires luck. That one where he threw his stick down and just the puck caught the stick. And I mean, that is just pure luck. That's okay. I'm got to do something to try and stop it. That was pure luck. So
I mean, that's why they play
Yeah,
the game with sticks and pucks.
yes, they do play and on ice, just in case you didn't notice that.
The point of the game is to score more goals than your opponent.
Yes, that's the old John
And,
Madden
and
is
folks, I learned all this expert analysis from the original right here, from his
that's
adult
right.
hockey league.
That's right. It's mighty cold in that hockey rink. Um, but yeah, it's always about the goalie to me. I'm always looking to see is the goalie on. Um, and that was the thing I loved about the old Stars team with Madonna when they used to have Eddie the Eagle Belfour. Um, and he used to go up against Patrick Waugh from Colorado. Those used to be some epic games because the two goalies you knew were going to be stellar. And it was just great games back then. Um, but I just think it just came down to the Skinner got hot and McDavid. You can't say enough about that dude. Every time he got the puck, you got scared because he was like on a different level than everybody else. His
Yeah, he
speed,
jumps.
everything.
I couldn't imagine watching him in person, but he jumps off the screen when he skates. Like,
Oh yeah.
if I was going to compare to people players that I've seen that like jump off the screen, like when you would see Mike Modano be going full speed down the ice, he jumped off the screen. You know,
Mhm.
Obviously Gretzky jumped off the screen, but Sidney Crosby when he was younger jumped off the screen. Ovechkin when he was younger jumped off the screen, and McDavid is right there with them. His
Yep.
skill set, that goal he scored in the last game where he just knifed through the defense. Like he
Hmm.
probably could have put it between his legs and shot it and scored it. I was just like, yeah, we're not coming back. Um,
Yeah,
so
and I'm old enough to remember Gretzky. Gretzky was not ever fast. Gretzky just had a hockey mind. He could tell where the puck was going. He had it already in his head before then. He knew that puck, just the angles, everything he took. He just had this sixth sense of knowing where the puck was going to be. He was never one of the fastest on the ice. Everybody will tell you that. He just had a sixth sense of where the puck was going. These other guys you're talking about, they're fast. And like I said, McDavid for Edmonton, he was three times faster than everybody else around him, and his puck handling skills just were amazing in this series.
yeah,
And
yeah, it was. So,
without him, they wouldn't even come close to winning.
oh,
But
without him, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. I mean,
probably, yeah,
it's
true.
yeah, he's. I mean, if if not he's in the conversation for best player in the NHL, 100%. Um,
Oh yeah,
all right, NBA playoffs. You know who's in the final.
Luca,
You know who's in
Luca.
the finals. It's the Mavs. You know, oh yeah, yeah. And you didn't think they were getting here. Of course, I didn't pick
Well,
them either. So I picked them to lose to Denver in the Western Conference Finals, which obviously Denver didn't even get there. I want to talk a little bit about the end of the Minnesota series before we talk about the Boston matchup. Uh, I don't want to hear crap from Anthony Edwards ever again. Okay.
no,
Um,
no.
you need to work on your conditioning a little bit. You need to work on your finishing. And honestly, you need a better number two because Cat is not that guy.
Well, here's my thing too. We were talking about Angel Reese and her goofy comments. Edwards had the same thing. Oh, I don't think they can beat us. I still don't think they can beat us.
Like when they're
Dude, they're
down
down
3-0.
three. Oh, and you're running your mouth, dude. And it was obvious to me. They didn't give a crap about that last game. All they just wanted to do was keep from getting swept
which
because
which is such
mm,
a you've heard me say this multiple times. Young teams don't win in the playoffs. The fact that that was their mindset, oh, we just don't want to get swept. what the hell are you talking about? We just don't want to get swept. Get out of here with that garbage. That's why I have Luca. I'm gonna tell you right now, they may not have cared about that last game, but Luca came out and ended that stuff in the first quarter.
Oh
He
yeah, it
came
was
out cold
over in the
blooded.
first quarter. It was over because you could tell one team was out there to play. The other team was just like, let's get this over with so we can go home and have a sandwich. You
Yeah,
know, it,
gonna
it
have dinner
was
with Chet. Uh, but man, the like I
so
said
here's
before that series started, two out of the best three players were on wearing Dallas uniforms, and that has been the case in every series. And I'll get to the Boston one here in a minute. But Minnesota has to figure some things out because Karl Anthony Towns is a 7-footer who doesn't really post up. He falls in love with that 3-point shot. It's a useful skill set in today's game. You almost got to have it as a big. But guess what? Two bigs don't have that skill set. Daniel Gafford and Blake Lively can't shoot threes to save their lives. And guess what? Dallas whooped Minnesota's tail. And you have to understand, you don't necessarily need a stretch five to be successful. Now, you probably need an athletic five, and we're going to see how this plays out against Boston. And so, as I let that be the segue, this matchup with Boston is really interesting. And our fans out there,
I'm changing my pick now because I think the Mavericks can beat them because I think the Mavericks are going to frustrate the hell out of Boston. And when
we're
Boston gets frustrated, they do not play well.
we're supposed to save our picks till the end. What are you doing?
Well,
Anyways, spoiler
I'm
alert.
saying, everybody knew my pick before it was Boston. So
Well,
now
both
I'm
of our
changing
picks
it.
were Boston, but ultimately the scenario changed. Like if, and I'll get into that, but I really think the matchups here are very intriguing because Boston switches everything, and they're all very similar in their height and size on the perimeter, other than the five that'll play. Now I heard Porzingis is coming back, which I think is a matchup nightmare. Defensively, not necessarily what he can do, but he stretches the floor, and I think he scares you if he gets hot versus Al Horford getting hot. And once KP gets confidence, he's a very dangerous man on the basketball court. Um,
Hmm.
and so, I went over this on the Believe on Mavs podcast I was on this morning. Was is This is how I would match up if I was Jason Kidd. I would put Luca on Derek White. I would put Kyrie on Drew Holiday. I would put Jones Jr. on Tatum, and I would put Washington on Jalen Brown, and then obviously big on big. And that's how I would go about it. But Jason Tatum is a matchup nightmare. He's 6'8", 6'9". He can do everything. Like it's it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. But if they do switch like that, and I'm going to kind of let you piggyback off this, is you talked about they're going to frustrate them. I think whoever switches on to Luca has a size disadvantage that Luca can take advantage of. And the way Luca plays the game, it's like the old man at the rec center who no one can guard for some reason, but he's not faster than anyone. He can't
It's
jump
like
higher
me.
than anyone, and he always gets his damn jump shot. So
Yeah, that's like me.
that's not like you, uh, but anyways, like so you want to say they were frustrated. But how do you see them frustrating the Boston Celtics?
It's because I think the minute the thing that I watched and learned about the Mavericks a lot in this just the last couple of series, and I don't think enough credit goes to Jason Kidd of the way I think Jason Kidd understands the game to a certain level. Obviously, because he's been a champion before, but he's been in the league long enough to understand how players work together. And I think what's going to frustrate Boston is that they're going to put all this pressure and everything on Luka, and then Kyrie is just going to go right past him. And I think that it's just like they said. First off, Kyrie's coming into Boston. To me, he's got a little chip on his shoulder, but I think he's got a mature chip on his shoulder. I think, you know, so
I don't know
I
about that.
think, huh?
I think the Boston Kyrie dynamic is being overblown. That was 5 years ago.
I understand that, but just think about it. You're coming against your old team. You're in the finals, and he got a bunch of crap there, and it wasn't a great departure. And so I think there is a little bit of that. But back to the frustration, I think they're going to try to put all this pressure on Luca, which never works for anybody because Luca figures out a way to get around you, or he takes a step back and makes stuff over your head. I mean, he just is so good at playing the game. But I think that Kyrie is his partner in this that can beat you by himself too. So, but I'm not saying that the rest of the Mavericks, they just kid just seems he's got them working as a really good unit, no matter who's on the floor. And the thing that's so cool to watch about Luca and Kyrie, they're not afraid to give it off to someone else. They see the open guy, they make the pass. You don't see that in a lot of superstars. They're I watch it so many times that people will take it to the rack when if they just passed it, they would add an easy bucket. And I
Yeah,
think that's something you see, and I think that's something that Kid installs in that team is it's a team game. It ain't not one person. And
yeah.
so
I,
I just
I
think
think
that's going to frustrate Boston because I think Boston, when they get frustrated, they try to push it too hard. Um, and yeah, that's why I'm changing my pick because I think the Mavericks are more have a better matchup against Boston than say Denver would have had.
yeah, I don't disagree with that assessment. The one thing I'll say is uh, the couple keys to the series that uh, I've said all along throughout the playoffs in regard to the Dallas Mavericks is every series they've had two out of the best three players on the floor, and I still feel that way in this. Even though Jaylen Brown is very close, in my opinion, to Kyrie in in skill level and importance to a team of things he can do, but I think it's Luca one, Tatum two, Kyrie three, and then Jaylen Brown, and then you can debate on your other guys down the line. So I believe Dallas has the advantage there. Um, but Luca's got to be efficient in the series. And by that, I mean he cannot take 25 shots to score 25 points. If Boston is for this, it's the old Kobe defense. Like let Kobe get his because no one else is getting theirs. And so my lights just flickered. Um, but he's got to be efficient, and then Kyrie and Luca need to take care of the basketball better than they did in the Minnesota series. There was too many games that in the first
Your
quarter Luca
lights
would.
flickering might have been Kobe agreeing with you just
Oh,
from
well,
the
there
beyond.
you go.
So
Yeah, rest in peace. Um, but there was too many times there would be quarters, especially early in the game, where Kyrie would have 3 or 4 turnovers in the first quarter. Luka would have 3 or 4 turnovers, and then at the end of the game, they both have 6 or 7. That's too many turnovers by your primary ball handlers. And the thing with Minnesota, Minnesota would give that thing back. Like, how many times did you see Anthony Edwards just throw the ball away, or anyone else in Minnesota? Like, there was one in crunch time, Anthony Edwards threw it to the third row and gave the ball back to them. That I think that was part of their big comeback win that the Mavericks had in the series. So efficiency, because if you have live ball turnovers against Boston, uh,
mhm.
you you're not gonna. they're a better transition team than the Dallas Mavericks. There are athletes everywhere, and they can all hit transition threes. So that 5 out, that spread out offense, I think is the scary part if you're Dallas because it's taking Gafford and Blake Lively away from the rim area. Because like before you have Rudy Gobert, he was not a 3-point threat, and you didn't have to respect that. So you could drop off him and be in help position. Well, with Al Horford and Porzingis, you can't do that. So they're going to be outside the paint and, getting to the rack. Maybe you're about to find out, as Mo Murphy said on the podcast this morning, you're about to find out how good individual defenders Dallas Mavericks are because they're going to have to play one-on-one defense a lot of the time because they're going to be spread out in that 5-out look. So, but I will go ahead and give my pick. I think I've already said it. I said it this morning. I've said it on a couple other ones, but I have Mavericks in 6. I think, and there's 2 scenarios there because you don't want to go into a game 7, obviously, but there's 2 different scenarios. One is a positive game 7 for the Dallas Mavericks. One is a negative. I think if you have a chance to win the championship in game 6 and you lose and then you got to go to Boston, you're probably not winning it. But if you're down 3-2 going into game 6 and you win game 6 and then you got to go to Boston and you have the momentum, I think Dallas can win in Boston in game 7. And I also think the longer the series goes, the more it favors the Dallas Mavericks.
I actually think the Mavericks are going to pull this off in 5. I think
Whoa!
they're I think they're going to pull it off in 5. I think it's I think they're going to frustrate Boston early. And I just got a feeling that it's the Mavericks have got so much confidence right now. And the fact that Luca's had a little bit of time to rest his injuries because he's been playing hurt and constantly. So he's going to be, even though he's not going to be fully healthy, he's going to be a lot healthier than he has been. And I just think this team is going to frustrate Boston very early, and I think Boston's going to hurt themselves. And because we've seen it, I mean, in their series that have gone way longer than they should have, because Boston was quite frankly frustrated and trying to push things and I just think I that's my pick, Dallas in 5.
Wow, that's a ballsy pick. I'm not gonna. That's a ballsy call. I'm not gonna lie. Um, the thing about the Eastern Conference this year, if you look at it in the difference between the roads, like obviously Dallas has been tested in every series. Even with Minnesota, they were close games the first 3 games, right? And so, or really first 4, and then the 5th one obviously wasn't. The Thunder series was back and forth, and the first round was the same way. In the East, man, Giannis got hurt, Damian Lillard got hurt, Embiid got hurt, Tyrese Halliburton got hurt, Jalen Brunson got hurt, almost the whole damn New York Knicks team got hurt. Like I'm not saying Boston just walked to the finals, but it was not a huge test. This is the first round that they're going to get tested. And, ultimately, when their backs against the wall, that's why I do think Dallas may go in there and steal game 1 for sure. I think that is their best chance out of those first 2 games to steal home court is game 1 because I think Boston is going to be rustier than Dallas. I don't think they've been pushed to the limit by any means. And I I I tend to agree with you in I love the confidence Dallas is playing with. And Luca proved in that game 5 against Minnesota, he's a killer. He's got ice in his veins.
Yeah.
And I think he wants to go to Boston and in that game early if he can. And add the help with Kyrie and the other boys. And it'll be interesting to see how Boston guards the lob game for Dallas as well, because Dallas is the new lob city.
hmm Yeah, I agree. And It's like I said, I think Dallas. A lot will depend on this first game, but if Dallas beats them pretty handily, yeah, it could possibly be a sweep. But I'm saying 5.
All right, I'm not going to agree with the sweep. I still think it's in 6, personally, but we'll only. That's why they
I'm
play the
all in.
game.
I'm all in. It's 5 games,
Look, the
all in.
fact that
Just
you
like
just
five championships that we got 60 years ago, but we got 5 championships. So
what
5 games.
are
I'm
you
all in.
turning into Michael Irvin over here? Did
No, I think Michael Irvin. It would be. I'm telling you, this is what's happening. Go with it, and we're
you
gonna do it. Get
did
out
you
there and do it.
see the
That's Michael
video of
Irvin.
him?
No, I haven't seen the
Oh my
video.
God, you got to look this up. He's sitting there going crazy for the Mavericks, and he's like, "Oh my God, I never noticed this before, but the football gods are telling me the Mavericks are gonna win. Luka is 77. Kyrie is number 11. That is 88. They are winning the championship." It's so,
Yeah, that's what I love about Michael Irvin. He's so humble. Um,
but and like, oh my God, some of the bits I've seen on sports radio attacking that has been some of the funniest stuff. Um, but that's why I thought you were turning Jerry into Michael Irvin there. But oh man, it's going to be a fun NBA playoffs, or finals, I should say. It's kind of weird not having any games to watch tonight. I'll be honest. It's been
uh,
nonstop for about 2.5 weeks. But
wait, are there any WNBA games on? Does
I
anybody know?
wouldn't know because I don't care. So uh, that was terrible. I'm probably get some heat from that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. By the way, hopefully everyone noticed the new shirt. Getting our merch out there. All right, on time sports talk. And for the folks out there, little technical issues with last call sports, and so that should be up and running. We think we got it figured out. That should be up and running by next week. And so hopefully that gets up there. And look out for me on Friday on Believe on Mavs, back with Mo Murphy. I'll be back breaking down game 1, especially from the coach's perspective. And so I'm excited about getting back on there with Mo. And by the way, I haven't talked to you about it, but he's actually a Navy vet as well. And he's actually going into coaching now. He's going to
Oh,
be
wow.
coaching in Northeast Texas. So we actually ended up having a lot in common. Um,
Very cool.
but for hopefully y'all go check that out. And as I always do, shout out to Mission 22. We just had Memorial Day pass, and that's not necessarily a super fun holiday for us veterans, especially those that we know we lost some, and that can be a struggle for a lot of us. So if you are struggling, please reach out, and as well as to the Tel Valhalla Project. Love y'all. Hopefully some things are in the work with that, and then of course Camp Hope. So you got any ones you want to throw out there?
Well, yeah, obviously, Devlin Health Concepts, my team, working in the mental health field here in Texas. Give us a call if you are struggling and you need someone to talk to. And we take kids also. So at DevlinCares.com. Um, but working real hard to help with the mental health epidemic that we have, and trying to help in Texas, which Texas suffers from a lack of mental health professionals. That's also for veterans too. We do take TRICARE. So if you're struggling and you need someone to talk to, give us a call, um, or check out our website, like I said, at DevlinCares.com.
All right,
That is it.
folks. We I don't know. It's been a while since we've done some episodes, so we might do another one later in the week, or we may wait till next week. But be on the lookouts. And it's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. It's always a good time. So peace. We love y'all, and we're
Good
out.
night.